Welcome back, Embers, or if you're new here, welcome to Campfire Crew. My name is Stone, my pronouns are they, them, and today we're doing my update for Pan Those palettes. So if you're new here, we work on two palettes. The Divina palette, which is currently 9 Davida singles, and I'm trying to get to 15 uses on 4 shades in here. And then we have my actual panning palette, which is my very old, very well loved, you can tell because the gold is starting to come off on it, Carnival 3 palette, which I'm actually trying to finish panning by the end of this year. So around here, we usually start with what I usually would call my least exciting update, which is my Divina palette, but it actually looks like this today. And I don't know if you'll be able to see what's going on. This angle looks pretty good. But the shades I'm working on are these two greens, this gold and this dark purple. But I actually accidentally hit pan on this green shimmer. It's a pretty little baby pan, but it is pan nonetheless. And so I had to decide what I was going to do about that, if I wanted to keep working on it or if I wanted to switch it. So let's start by going over what I have done with it this month. So my goal is to use, between those shades, to use 5 uses each. So we'll start with Parthenos, which is the one I accidentally hit pan on. I used that 2 times this month for a total of 24 uses, and I have finally, like I said, hit pan on that. And then we have Patina, which is this green right under it, and Patina I used once. Majesty, the one underneath that, I used 2 times, so this gold I used 2 times for a total of also 24 uses, but as we can see, there's no pan on it. And then Nemesis, this dark purple, I didn't use at all. So we have a total between them of 5 uses, 2 on this, 1 on this, and 2 on that. So that's 5 uses. So we got that goal done. And what I have decided to do is actually switch over my usage left over from Parthenos. So Parthenos, we have now used 5 times throughout the year. So instead of using something 15 times and starting over, I'm going to transfer the 10 uses I have left on Parthenos to one of the other shades. So I really would prefer to work on one of these shimmers to replace a shimmer with a shimmer. And I, until this moment, had not decided which shimmer I wanted to do, but I think I'm going to go with Blazed, which right now only has 11 uses on it. So hopefully by the end of this, we'll get it to 21 uses. So that's this shade. I'm going to swatch it for you just because I've never done that. I don't know if I've swatched any of these, but this is Blazed. It's this really bright red. Last month I used Parthenos with Majesty and I mixed them together. So I'm wondering if I can do that with this shade. And that's what this looks like. It is a bright shimmery red. It's very vibrant and very pretty. It is not a duochrome of any kind. It's just this really vibrant, pretty red shimmer color. And it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, now instead of working on this L, we're going to be working on these shades right here. So this red, the green, the gold, and this. And we'll see how far I get with it. I would love to get a pan in this shade too, now that I know it's actually possible to do, but we'll see how it goes for the rest of the year. So that is that update, more exciting than it usually is. So then let's go for what is usually my most exciting update, and that is my my Carnival 3 palette. I'm just wiping off some of that from my finger. So this is what my Carnival 3 palette was looking like last month. And this is what it looks like this month. as per usual, I'm going to put up all of the shades and we'll talk you through them one by one. But this time I'm going to start just talking about shades I don't have pan on instead of going through every shade I've used in the month. The first shade I used in this palette comes all the way from Tan Lines, which I used twice in the month. And now it has 16 uses in total. It really doesn't have much of a dip. I've mostly been using it as a blush. That's probably how I used it last month. I did use it today, but that does not count because it is the next month. After that, I used Rose Pink, which is one of the shades I was focusing on. And we actually have a pan in this. Yes, we have a pan in this. And I was actually not expecting this pan to happen. I'm going to talk about it more once we get to magenta. But I used this month a total of 3 times. And if you see me looking at my book, this is just where I write all my notes. I used this 3 times this month for a pan and a total of 20 uses. Then we go to magenta, which was my other focus shade, and I only had to use this 3 more times to hit pan, the same amount as Rose Pink, because I actually ended up getting the pan on magenta, and then I got the pan on Rose Pink. What happened with Rose Pink is that I used my fingers for these shadows, and I just accidentally pressed too hard and like squished it straight into pan, which I was not expecting. Sometimes these shades will, like, as I use the same spot over and over again, they'll kind of loosen a lot, whereas they start off really dense, but they get looser as I use them. And this one just kind of crumbled on me. I didn't waste any product, luckily. But yeah, I ended up panning it on the very same day. So with this project, I usually try and get 2 pans, 1 pan, 2 pan, 1 pan. Last month I had 2 pans, and this month I was only trying to go for 1 pan, but then the same day, like I said, I hit magenta, I also hit Rose Pink. So magenta now has a total of only 8 uses. Magenta was so crumbly. I could not believe it. It actually has a decent sized pan, and that's just because it is so powdery. It is one of the most powdery shades in this palette, so if I try and use it up, it will probably go very quickly. But anyway, it is one of the shades that kind of has overlap with a lot of other shades. I find some of these purples very similar, so I'm not mad about it, I'll be honest. And then we only have 2 more shades that I used. It was a very quick month. I used Twilight, which is a dark grape purple. I used that 1 time for a total of also 8 uses. But unlike magenta, Twilight is more firmly pressed and it has a long way to go on it still. And then last month I talked about using Black Beach a couple times a month, and I did just that. I used it another 2 times for a total of 13 uses. I said last time it had disturbance. It still is pretty much at the disturbance phase, but using it a couple times, I am still perfectly happy with that. And so for goals for this palette, I've been having a really hard time thinking about goals I want to use, but I have decided that I'm only going to try and hit 1 pan this month because I hit 2 last month. But I usually focus on 2 shades. I'm actually going to focus on 3. First of all, the Deep. I talked about that last month, getting a few uses on that. I did not, as we can tell, get any uses on this, but I would like to use it a couple of times because I think we're really close to pan. Then my 2 focus shades that actually make sense for this time of year are going to be Tan Lines, which is the color I used today actually. And I've mixed it in with my other focus shade, which is Coral. I just think Coral is going to be one of the easier shades to hit. It's a lot more powdery than, let's say, Tan Lines. Tan Lines is really still quite buttery. So this is what Tan Lines looks like. Coral actually is quite buttery on the fingers, but you can really tell in the swatch, at least in person, that it is really chalky. So this is Tan Lines. I think now that it's summer, I'm probably going to get much less use out of it as a blush, but I might still mix it with Coral because I tried that once and it was really pretty for a lighter blush. And I did, again, use them. I mixed them together for the color today. And then Coral's just a bright, fun, really bright color. I don't know if you can even see it in this lighting, how really bright it is. So I'm going to focus on these actually look really pretty to get together. I might use them, all three of them together, because that's really pretty, I have to admit. But yeah, these are going to be my focus shades for this month, along with the Deep, which I'm going to try and hit pan on. I might actually, I don't know. We'll see how I feel about it. How much attention I give this palette this month. I might hit one pan and then go to my Project Level Up, and then once I finish that palette, I might go back to it, but we'll talk about that in Project Level Up, which is going to be literally, I'm filming it right after this video. So that's all I really had to say. I feel like these videos are going to start getting shorter now that I'm talking about less products. In here, we're down to 11 things left. And they all need a lot of work. So this might actually be the last month that I do the to focus kind of thing. And I might just, after this month, try and use each shade that I don't have pan on a couple of times each. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Bye.